Hi, November 25th. Woo! Get a fucking cup of tea. Okay, I'll try and get through this as quickly as possible, but as you can fucking see, yeah, I can barely fit the whole thing on the screen. If I go right there, then we kind of can. All right. So obviously we're starting off here 12:32 a.m. with Mars at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, making a square to the node. So the North Node in Pisces at 14 degrees is very interesting because 14 degrees is a Taurus degree, but Pisces is like go with the fucking flow, very spiritual kind of energy. So that's already having a little bit of an argument with itself, right? Like it's trying to find stability so that it can go with the flow. And then Mars at 14 degrees of Sagittarius is, Mars, rage and motivation and, masculine energy, 14 degrees, Taurus, stubborn, Sagittarius energy, truth seeker / know-it-all. So this is Mars thinking it stubbornly knows everything, right? And it is in a moment of friction and having a fucking battle with the North Node at 14 degrees of Pisces. Now, why and how and what the fuck is the point? So what's kind of happening in this aspect is because the North Node represents, a place of discomfort. It's the lessons that we need to learn in this life. And that Mars at 14 degrees of Sagittarius fucking knows everything, right? I've locked everything in and I know everything and I'm doing it my way because I know everything. This moment of friction is really to kind of shake that, right? So 12:32 a.m. in Melbourne. So you might be asleep, right? You might be asleep during this and you might have some fucking wild dreams that you can't explain with your normal logical way of thinking. So note down anything that fucking comes through in the night because that's a really important aspect causing that friction. And it's going to be very helpful for you to be shaken from what you think you fucking know on a logical basis now, because as we move forward through this energy of the rest of the year, it's really trying to open your mind. And the more that you stay stubbornly attached to what you think you know, the harder that's going to be. So 6:24 a.m., you're probably awake now, whether you like it or not, because this moon sextiling Venus at the Capricorn degree, it wants to lock in, right? So we're kind of dealing here with like maybe wanting to make some long-term goals, maybe wanting to be a little bit more future focused, right? Maybe wanting to kind of lock in and have a little bit more of a serious attitude when it comes to this relationship. Yeah. Because Venus is about your relationships, but here, because we're dealing with a lot of like Capricorn, Scorpio, about contracts, long-term investment, Venus can also be about those sorts of things. So we could be dealing with work, right? This is a situation that is very likely to show up in work, these next two, right? So potentially a conversation that needs to be had. Now, the Mercury retrograding in Scorpio at 22 degrees is really helping us focus in on something that didn't really make sense in the past, or that we maybe kind of glided over. We didn't want to look at the details of it, right? But we can do that now. We can do that with this sextile to Mercury and this sextile to Venus. We can look at the details of the relationship in a serious way. We can look at the details of the contracts, of the workplace, of the situation in this more serious way. And like a sextile aspect, you have to engage with it, right? Like it's going to give you nothing if you don't take a conscious action to understand what it's trying to fucking tell you, right? And so it's sort of saying like there is some possibilities here, or there is some potential here that if you explore it, you're going to find out something you didn't know, right? Now, it's not a difficult, they're not difficult aspects, and you need to be a bit open and creative with the way that you are focusing on them. But basically, if you want to get your fucking birth chart out and see how these energies talk to each other, how does your Capricorn and your Scorpio talk to each other? How does your Venus and your Mercury talk to each other? How do they talk to your moon, right? So you want to just have a look and see how they get along, because if this is saying like you need to have a conversation about your worth, whether that's in a relationship or whether that's at work, and you want to be a bit more serious about it because now something from the past has made sense and you realize you're not actually being treated in the worthiness that you see yourself, you might have like Scorpio in the 10th house. You might have like your Venus might be in Capricorn, right? So that kind of means work, right? So this 805 square to Chiron, This one is now saying, right, okay, so whatever it was that you have figured out about something in the past, can you see how that is coming from the repression of who you really are as a person based on how you grew up? Okay. And then 11:12 a.m., this is where we go, oh my God, I can fucking see it. And this opposition is kind of being caused because now that we can fucking see it and we're starting to integrate some of that wisdom and really understand it. And this could be very father mother woundy, right? Capricorn Cancer energy. And that Jupiter retrograding at 24 degrees of Cancer, it's sort of helping us really understand and work with and integrate some of the things that we've been dealing with within whatever this issue is, that you've maybe been like seeing pieces of since June this year, right? And now we're sort of going back and realizing, hang on a minute, no, like I don't like that anymore. And so that moon in Capricorn and that Jupiter in Cancer are in this bit of a tug of war of who's more important, right? Like, is the family space more important? Is my emotional stability more important? What's more important? Okay. And then we get this sextile to Saturn not that long afterwards, which at 25 degrees is really saying, like, can you just lock in your own fucking belief system here? Like, stop piggybacking off what mum told you when you were 5 or dad told you when you were 5, and like, just what is important to you? What matters to you? What values do you hold, right? And then this is a stunning aspect for making long-term commitments, but because Mercury is retrograding, it's not a sign a contract kind of situation, right? So if you have been dealing with this like energy throughout the morning as work, then this could be like hearing about a position opening up in the future and kind of deciding that you're going for it. Or this could just be like realizing that there was a moment in the past in your relationship that was showing you that there's like a long-term commitment coming in, right? So because Mercury is retrograde, I wouldn't really advise making any kind of big decisions if you can avoid them, because just especially this retrograde has got a lot of hidden things, yeah? So the conjunction to Venus, it can either be making that kind of work situation, like, all right, I'm going to lock in now and I'm going to like do some kind of, I'm definitely going to be here for another 10 years, right? So when that comes up, I know what I'm going to do. Or this is where you can actually see the contract that kind of got undone with that Scorpio new moon on the 20th, why it got undone, why it now makes sense. Like what happened on the 20th in your workspace, like if this is work related for you, what happened on the 20th in your workspace or in a one-on-one dynamic relationship situation that kind of now makes a little bit more sense, right? It kind of now makes a little bit more sense. And because it makes a little bit more sense, we get this sextile to Lilith that's kind of like a little bit curious about why we felt the way we felt about it or why we rejected how we felt about it. And it's really wanting a bit more curiosity with that. Like, why did you feel shame before you were feeling curious? Because now that it fucking makes sense, you realize it had nothing to fucking do with you. Right? So if that's a relationship situation, then maybe you got into a bit of a battle with your lover and like finally you're kind of like, oh fuck, that really had nothing to do with me. They were going through their own shit. Why was I embarrassed and shameful? Like I did fucking nothing. Okay. And then the trine to Uranus, even more helpful. So happening at this crisis degree, but it's kind of saying like, yeah, like you need to see things from a different perspective. You've got this like idea locked in based on old patterns of guilt and shame and like blaming yourself for shit, but like who does that fucking belong to? And then 8:09 p.m. sextile to Neptune, Capricorn fucking Pisces, 29 degrees of Pisces here in the Neptune. We are like letting go of like whatever the fuck your generations and your ancestors told you about how you had to treat the patriarchal energy. We're also letting go of what they fucking told you about like needing to work 9 till 5 and like busting your fucking ass and doing 50 hours a week. Okay. We're letting go of all of those things. And we're sort of going, well, how can I do this now? Maybe did you lose a job? Maybe you got told off at work and you're like, I'm not going to fucking be here. And your Mercury conjunct Venus is like, mate, I'm out. I'm definitely out. I'm going to go start applying for jobs and I'm definitely fucking out. And then you go through this sextile to Lilith and you're like, well, fucking, I didn't even know why I felt embarrassed about that. That was just because that guy was shit and doesn't like the fact that I am like telling him what to do. And then this trine to Uranus and then this sextile to Neptune, you're like, oh, fuck, you know what? I don't need to be doing this job. I've got this amazing business idea that I want to follow through with. Maybe that's what the universe is fucking telling me, right? So it's these kind of moments that we're going to start seeing as we get closer to Mercury stationing direct. And the Neptune in Pisces at 29 degrees that we're going to be rolling with until the end of January, I think probably into February as well. It's like what you thought you fucking knew, you don't actually know it. Like that was somebody else's knowing and you just fucking piggybacked it, right? So 8:10 p.m. semi-square to the node, 9:37 semi-square to Mars, okay? This could be a little bit of a battle because the moon's going to be void in there, right? It's going to go void with that sextile to Neptune. It's going to give you a little bit of like a thinking space to like be like, fucking, you know what, ancestors, I don't want your bullshit. Thank you so much. I'll take your magic and I'll take your power and I'll have your support, but I'm not actually going to take the trauma, the wound. I'm not taking that, right? Like I'm in a different world to you, mate. It's been 160 years. So the semi-square is going to bring that little bit of haze, right, about where you're going to go. That first one, semi-square to the node, that might make you anxious, right? This could be an anxious one where like you've decided to quit your job or you've decided to commit and now you're fucking nervous about it because you're like, oh, fuck, I don't know what that's going to do for my stability. Like, what's that going to do? Is that going to affect my stability? I don't know. I don't know where I'm going. And we have a little panic, right? And then we have a panic about how to fucking do it. The moon moves into Aquarius. It's at 0 degrees. It makes a semi-square to Mars at 15 degrees, which is like, bitch, just be fucking curious about the journey, right? Lock into the journey, not the fucking destination. And the moon in Aquarius, it also is, you know, it's sort of saying like, hey, you know, like just be cool with it, right? Like it is what it is and you'll pivot if you need to. And so, you know, the Sagittarius quality, the Mars quality here can be a little bit like, but like I need to know what the blueprint is. The 15 degrees helps it out a little bit, being a Gemini degree, and the Aquarius will help it out a little bit as well, because it just kind of allows us to be like, okay, you know what, maybe it's not going to be so bad. Maybe I can just like trust that I can pivot, trust that I know I'm going the right way. Yeah. Then 10:25 p.m. Venus is in conjunct Chiron here with this quincunx aspect. And that's really a compromise here. Like something needs to be sorted out here, right? Something within your childhood wound, you need to fucking, let's stop. Let's take some conscious effort to realize this is a cycle of shaming yourself. This is a cycle of guilting yourself. This is a cycle of choosing to put yourself last because you refuse to look at all of these other fucking guilt and shames that actually don't fucking belong to you anymore, right? That you learned during childhood. So really fucking busy day, really huge busy day that you're very likely to feel quite exhausted by. There's a number of aspects in that day that say you're going to be late. So just be very careful about that, especially because we do have these ones that are causing us a little bit of anxiety. So if you've got something important on that day, give yourself a half an hour fucking buffer, okay? Lots of big retrograding kind of energies going on. Lots of very distracting energies going on. Like when Mercury is retrograde anyway, travel is already fucked up. People aren't concentrating properly. There's more accidents and stuff like that. So just all that Capricorn, mate, you don't want to be taking responsibility for all of the lateness as well as everything else that is piling on top of you, okay? You need my help, come and find me. We're almost in December. The December fuckery aspect journal is on my website. And if you want a spot in any of my group classes, the group therapy is on the 1st of December. Go and book a place. Otherwise, as always, stay with